I can talk about how I centered myself and decentered my husband, but it has been a lot of work and it is ongoing work, so it's going to have to be in a series, and this will be part one. To begin, I want to talk about something I had to do before I could even begin the work of decentering him and centering myself. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it in itself was inherently an act of centering myself, but I didn't know it. I didn't even know what decentering men or centering myself meant. I didn't even know those terms. So the first thing I had to do was I had to stop drinking. And if you're not a drinker or you don't think drinking is really relevant in your relationship, I would encourage you to still stick around and listen, because the lessons that I learned are very valuable in decentering, even if they have nothing to do with alcohol. I have always been a drinker. I started drinking at a really young age, at 13. And when I met and started dating my husband, I was a regular drinker, but not really a heavy drinker. I drank like Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, 2 to 3 glasses of wine a night. But when we started dating, everything we did involved alcohol. We both enjoyed drinking, we had fun when we drank, and we connected over drinking. And so it became, from the beginning, a very regular part of our relationship. We've been together 15 years, married for 10 and a half, and as the relationship progressed, we both drank more. We drank every evening together. We would, come home from work, pour ourselves a drink, sit outside and talk. We drank on the weekends, we drank when we traveled, and we traveled a lot. We drank daily. And as the years progressed, I started to become really uncomfortable with my drinking. I didn't enjoy it as much as I had in the past, and I had strong feelings of wanting to stop. And in the summer of 2020, I decided to do that. I decided to take a month off drinking. And in that month, I became concerned with what my not drinking would do to my marriage and my husband's happiness in the marriage, as well as mine. And in that month, my husband also communicated to me that he was worried about what me not drinking would do to our relationship. It was how we connected. It's what we did all the time. It's when we traveled, drinking was a huge part of our life. And he was concerned about how me not drinking would affect the relationship and our lifestyle. And so when that month was up, I went back to drinking. And a large part of that was me centering the marriage and his feelings over my own well-being. I too was concerned about what it would do to our marriage, how he would feel about me, how we would move forward when this thing that we had for years was no longer there. And so I continued to drink for the next year and a half because I chose what I perceived to be the happiness and security of my marriage over my own well-being. And then in 2022, I had enough. I said, I have to do this. I did not like who I was. I hated how dependent I was on alcohol. There was every reason in the book for me to stop drinking, and so that's what I did. I would not have had the mental or emotional space to examine myself and my marriage in a way that would allow me to grow and change if I had been under the haze of alcohol this whole time. That led me to being able to do the work of decentering him and centering myself. And if I could have a conversation with myself back then, I would say when he expressed his concerns, that those were totally valid, but they were not mine to carry. Because back then I believed that a good wife and a good partner would care so much about her husband's feelings that she would contort herself and organize herself around those feelings so as to alleviate any discomfort that he might have. And that's what I did. I chose his comfort over my own well-being. That's not entirely why I went back to drinking. There are many other reasons. Our lifestyle just was not set up to support me not drinking. And I did not know then that you don't have to take your husband's feelings and make them the center of your world to be a good wife. I did not know then that I didn't have to betray myself and abandon myself to be a good wife. So I would encourage you to look at your own life and your own relationship and think about where there are areas that you wish you could make a change in yourself, in your lifestyle, in your marriage, and you have held yourself back because you are afraid of what it will do to the relationship. You are afraid of what he might think or how he might feel. You are afraid of disrupting the status quo. If you find any truth in any of that, if there are any areas where you feel like you're doing that, you are centering your husband instead of centering yourself.